Murray Mexted is rarely short of criticism, particularly when the All Blacks fall short of their usual standards of global dominance. Yet his latest assessment of New Zealand's squad management, especially when contrasted with South Africa's current benchmark model, is revealing for reasons that go beyond surface-level tactics. You've got to maneuver within your own environment, Mexted noted. The environment in South Africa and the requirements of creating a team, they're totally different to what we're doing in New Zealand. They have more players overseas than at home. Rassie Erasmus is growing players overseas and domestically. New Zealand's priority has to be retaining the strength of the NPC and Super Rugby. At the heart of this argument lies a fundamental truth about international rugby. Success is shaped not just by coaching philosophy, but by the cultural and structural ecosystem that feeds a national team. New coaches, particularly those taking over at the end of an era, often feel compelled to stamp a new identity on their side. That instinct can be constructive, but it can also be dangerous. History offers a cautionary tale in the form of former Springbok coach Karel du Plessis, who in the mid-1990s attempted to steer South Africa away from their power-based game towards a more expansive, skill-driven approach inspired by New Zealand. The shift was not an evolution, but a replacement, imposed on players whose strengths were built around physical dominance. The result was a system that clashed with both personnel and national rugby culture. Mexted's concern is that Scott Robertson may now be flirting with a similar misalignment. While the All Blacks are not attempting to copy South Africa's style outright, they do appear to be borrowing elements of Erasmus' approach, particularly in their use of the bench and squad rotation, without the same underlying structural logic. South Africa's bomb squad works because it is embedded within a broader system that accommodates overseas-based players, rotational continuity, and clearly defined roles. In contrast, New Zealand's historical strength has been the clarity and cohesion of its first-choice 15, supported by depth that is developed carefully rather than simultaneously trialed at the T present. That clarity feels diluted. Robertson is rightly tasked with building depth, and game time is essential to that process. However, doing so at the expense of continuity undermines a core part of the All Blacks' DNA, being a compact, instinctively connected unit with minimal ambiguity around selection. Previous All Black coaches rotated intelligently, but there was rarely doubt about the spine of the team. That certainty no longer exists. Yet the deeper issue may lie beyond Robertson's influence. Mexted's lament over the state of the NPC and Super Rugby cuts to the heart of New Zealand's challenges. The departure of South African teams has left structural holes that have yet to be repaired. While the current competition models offer egalitarian benefits, they have not consistently delivered the intensity or edge required to prepare players for the highest level. Releasing more All Blacks back into the NPC is unrealistic, and Super Rugby may never regain its former gravitas. These systemic weaknesses are weighing heavily on the national side, arguably as much as any selection policy or tactical adjustment. Robertson will inevitably shoulder the blame when performances dip. But the All Black struggles are rooted as much in structural erosion as they are in coaching decisions that do Red Bulls still charge if nobody is watching. Newcastle Falcons are finally beginning to flex their financial muscles. A flurry of new signings and the promise of more to come was always expected, but their first win of the season, combined with struggles at Gloucester and Harlequins, has dramatically altered the complexion of the Premiership's lower reaches. Suddenly, the bottom of the table looks interesting again, yet the moment passed almost unnoticed. Despite a dominant performance, the final 15 minutes aside, the match was met with minimal media attention, this publication included. There are understandable reasons. Resources are stretched. Newcastle is a challenging journey on a cold Friday night during the holidays, and this was not framed as a relegation-defining clash. Still, the lack of coverage felt symbolic. The Premiership's basement has just come alive, and not before time. It is a reminder that competitiveness matters, and that without visibility, even meaningful change can struggle to register. One can only wonder how much sharper the league might feel if the threat of relegation truly carried weight once again.